Pearl Harbor wasn't the last time Japan tried to strike the United States. In fact, Japan hit American soil again, and one of their later plans was so extreme, it involved plague. Most Americans think World War II reached the United States only once, December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor. But that belief is wrong, because after Pearl Harbor, Japan didn't stop trying to hit the United States. They attacked American soil again. They bombed American land. They sent weapons across the Pacific Ocean with no pilots at all. And near the end of the war, Japan prepared a final plan so dangerous, even today it's hard to imagine what would have happened if it succeeded. This is the forgotten story of the Japanese plan to attack America again after Pearl Harbor. After Pearl Harbor, Japan had shocked the world. But deep down, Japanese leaders knew the truth. They could not defeat the United States in a long war. America had massive factories, endless resources, and the ability to replace ships and planes faster than Japan ever could. So Japan needed a different strategy. Instead of conquering America, they wanted to frighten it. They believed fear could weaken morale, fear could slow production, fear could force America to defend its own backyard instead of pushing toward Japan. And the people most affected by this plan weren't soldiers at first. They were ordinary American civilians living their daily lives on the West Coast. In simple terms, Japan wanted to prove that America was not untouchable. They didn't plan a full invasion. That was impossible. Instead, they planned small, shocking attacks that would cause panic, start fires, create confusion, and make Americans feel unsafe at home. Some of these plans actually happened. Others were stopped at the last moment, but every one of them had the same goal: to bring the war directly to the American mainland. The first attack came sooner than most Americans realize. Just 6 months after Pearl Harbor, in June 1942, Japan made its move. At night, under cover of darkness, a Japanese submarine approached the U.S. West Coast. Most Americans had no idea enemy submarines were operating so close to home, but Japan was already there, watching, waiting. The target was Fort Stevens, a U.S. Army base near the border of Oregon and Washington. Late at night, the Japanese submarine surfaced, and without warning, it opened fire. Shells flew toward American land. Some landed near military buildings. Others crashed into a nearby baseball field. No one was killed, but the message was loud and clear. An enemy had just fired directly at a U.S. military base on the American mainland. This was one of the only times during World War II that this ever happened. The attack caused little physical damage, but psychologically, it shook people. Japan had proven it could reach America. A few months later, Japan tried something even more unusual. Near Brookings, Oregon, another Japanese submarine surfaced, but this time it didn't fire its guns. Instead, a small airplane was assembled on the submarine's deck. Yes, a plane launched from a submarine. The pilot flew over American forests and dropped incendiary bombs. The goal was simple: start massive forest fires, overwhelm firefighters, create chaos along the West Coast. But luck wasn't on Japan's side. The forests were wet. The fires burned out quickly. Most Americans never even knew the attack happened. But Japan learned something important. They needed a weapon that could travel farther and quieter. Japan's next idea came from science. Japanese researchers discovered the jet stream, powerful air currents flowing from Asia to North America. So they created a terrifying new weapon: massive hydrogen balloons. Each balloon carried explosive and incendiary bombs. No pilots, no engines, just wind. Between late 1944 and early 1945, Japan launched over 9,000 balloon bombs. The hope was that hundreds would drift across the Pacific and land in the United States. And many did. Balloon bombs landed in Oregon, Washington, California, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming. Some even reached Canada. The US government was alarmed. Officials feared panic, so they asked newspapers and radio stations to stay silent. Most Americans had no idea weapons were falling from the sky until one day, tragedy struck. In May 1945, near the town of Bly, Oregon, a group of civilians went on a picnic. They found something strange in the woods, a large balloon-like object on the ground. They didn't know what it was. When it exploded, 6 people were killed, 5 children, and 1 adult. These were the only enemy-caused civilian deaths on the US mainland during World War II. The balloon bomb campaign failed militarily, but it proved something frightening. Japan had found a way to strike America silently. As Japan faced defeat in 1945, some leaders proposed a final, desperate idea, a plan called Operation Cherry Blossoms at Night. The goal was horrifying. Japanese submarines would launch planes carrying biological weapons, plague-infected fleas. The target was the US West Coast, including cities like San Diego. The attack was planned for late 1945, but Japan surrendered before it could be carried out. Many historians believe this plan, if successful, could have killed tens of thousands, possibly more. It was a line that thankfully was never crossed. Today, Pearl Harbor is remembered as the moment America entered the war, but the war didn't stay overseas. It came back quietly, unexpectedly, and in ways most people never learned about. This story isn't meant to create fear. It's meant to remind us how fragile peace can be and how close history came to taking a very different path. Because sometimes the most important stories aren't the loudest ones. They're the ones almost forgotten.